Hi, here I am again, Andy Excel with another NFXL podcast. Again, this time I'm going to be looking at the 2026 NFL draft classes as the college season gets into its early stages. Um, and in this one, I'm going to look at the probably the least glamorous roles in football, the ones that generally don't get talked about but should get talked about, and they're the O linemen. So I'll look at all three potential positions: centre, guard, and offensive tackle. So just briefly, have a look at the history for this. Centres. Now in drafts this decade, three have gone in round one, eight in round two, six in round three. So that's you know what's that? 11, 17. That's two. Less than three per draft going in the opening three rounds. Um, so, we don't see a lot going. That's like I say, that's half a, you know, less than one in round one, about one or two in round two, and one in round three. So they're really not very popular to go early centres. But as we all know from past history, if you've got a rock solid centre who can deliver, um, it takes your team an awful long way. Hugely undervalued for me. Similarly with guards, there's seven going round one, 11 in round two, 17 in round three. So that's just under six per draft. And it works out just over one in round one, just under two in round two, and just under three in round three. So again, the early rounds are not somewhere you generally see these interior O linemen go. Offensive tackle, however, we're at 33 in round one, 15 in round two, and 20 in round three. That's just over 11 per draft, nearly double the guards, and more than the two interior O line positions put together. Um, so that works out at 5.5 in round one, 2.5 in round two, and just over three in round three. Um, so people that are designated as offensive tackles now sometimes they do move inside to guard um, at the NFL level, but they're drafted as offensive tackles. So bear that in mind. We can see a lot more offensive tackles. So what does this class look like? Well, let's start at the much underrated centres, or much underappreciated, I should say. And this actually looks like an above average class in terms of top end talent at centre, um, with three decent candidates in there who could go in round two or even get into round one. Um, but these three look well clear of the rest of the class. So who are those three? Now I've got them all as potential round two at the moment. But like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if one or even two of them can squeak into round one. And the first one is Connor Liu, a junior out of Auburn, 6'3" and 302 pounds. He took over at centre for Auburn midway through his freshman year last year, and he had a full season as such in his sophomore season of 2024. He showed up particularly well in the high profile game against Georgia, which got him into the PFF Team of the Week. He allowed just one sack and eight pressures in 2024, whilst drawing just three penalties in the 12 games he played. And he's definitely come into the prominence of this class early this season. The second one up is Jake Slaughter, a senior out of Florida. 6'5" and 308 pounds, so he's bigger guy than Lou. He's allowed just two sacks and 16 pressures in 22 games across the last two seasons. That marks him as one of the leading draft candidates at centre ahead of the 2025 season, having opted not to enter the 2025 draft. He could well have done, but chose not to. He'll be an experienced three-season starter come the 2026 draft, and that'll stand him in good stead. That experience and solidity will be on the plus column of assessors, but he's not going to show up well in athletics tests, which could hold him out of getting a pick really early in the draft. So, I'm suspecting that his combine might hurt him or pro day might hurt him. And therefore, that could see him stay in round two. If he does anything decent there, he could still get into round one. And the third one I've got ahead of these, ahead of the rest, way ahead of the rest of the class, is Parker Brailsford, a junior at Bama, 6'2" and 290 pounds, so he's a bit smaller than the previous two. Another second season starter at the college level, having been the starter for Washington in 2023 and then at Bama in 2024. He's much more athletic than the others in this class, but on the flip side, as I say, he's on the small side. in a draft class that seemingly does not have, you know, much depth to it. Brailsford looks set to be one of the first centres taken in the 2026 draft, although as a junior, he would have another year of eligibility open to him should he choose to take it. Now, they're the three centres that I think are way ahead at this stage of the rest of the class, and I don't have any as round three potential guys. So if we go back to the beginning, where basically we were expecting just under three on average to go in the first three rounds. Well, I think Lou, Slaughter, and Brailsford are those three at the moment, and they might all be round two as it stands. So let's move on to guards. A far from great class at guard going into the season. Um, and for me, there's just four guys worth looking at this stage um, who could make it into day two picks, with none of them currently justifying a day one pick. In fact, I have them all as potentially round three at the moment. And the first one up is Armaj Reed Adams, right guard, senior, Texas A&M, 6'5", 340 pounds. Reed Adams is one of the Aggies O-linemen who chose to return, making this a prospectively formidable unit for this season that could help all of those guys to impress draft scouts. Reed Adams started all 13 games in 2024 at right guard for the Aggies, having made 15 starts in 3 seasons at Kansas prior to that. Particularly adept as a run blocker, but can improve his hand placement and as a pass blocker. That tendency for poor hand placement can make him prone to drawing holding penalties, though, which is something he needs to work on. If he can improve in those weaker areas, he may even be able to move up to get a mid-day two selection or a round two selection come draft time. Next up, I've got Caden Green, a left guard, junior, Missouri, 6'5", 316 pounds, transferred to Missouri from Oklahoma for his sophomore season in 2024, started all 13 games, having made 5 starts at the Sooners in 2023. Reading scouting reports on Green, the phrases strong anchor and raw power and good instincts come up regularly. These make him highly appealing to NFL scouts, and despite some lapses in technique, that could well be enough to make him into one of the first guards taken in the 2026 draft. Third one, Charles Jagusa, right guard, another junior, Notre Dame. Huge, 6'7" and 333 pounds. Having played just 2 games as a freshman, Jagusa missed a lot of the 2024 season with a pectoral injury, but finished both seasons strongly, which gave him an appealing, appetising look to him ahead of the 2025 season. As I say, he's a huge guy, and if he can play all of the 2025 season and play well, could well be one to climb draft boards as the season progresses. Although he does need to improve as a run blocker if he's going to do so, and above all, needs to show he can actually play a full slate of games or something near that. Right, final one, fourth guard I'm going to look at, Jaden Roberts. He's a right guard. He's a senior, Alabama, 6'5" and 310 pounds. Roberts started 12 or 13 games for Bama last season, having made 11 starts the previous season. That gives him 24 starts for one of the premier college teams at the highest level of college competitions, and that will make him pretty much NFL ready. He's a strong phone box lineman that can struggle at the second level, though. So there are your 4 guard candidates. As I say, I currently have them all to go later on day 2 rather than getting into the early part of day 2. I really don't see any round 1 guys at this stage. Right, let's move on to the tackles. And there is plenty of top end talent and maybe elite talent at offensive tackle ahead of this season, and decent depth too to make this a strong class. And it's 3 guys that are really standing out going into the season. I know you could put them in any order really, so don't pay too much attention to the order I've got them in. They're potentially all going in the first dozen picks of the draft overall. So that shows you how strong the class this is. The first one I'll talk about is Spencer Fano. Can play either left or right tackle. He's a junior. He's at Utah. 6'5" inch, 304 pounds. Has a good rating on Draft Buzz against the pass, but it's exceptional against the run. So he's a guy that big who can run a sub 5 second 40. Well, he might well record a sub 5 second 40, and like I say, for a guy that size, well, that's what Draft Buzz say. And if that combination of size and speed mark him as an elite athlete. He played left tackle as a freshman and right tackle as a sophomore, so he's got versatility to add to his array of talents. Any NFL team looking for an offensive tackle in the 2026 draft will have great talent to choose from, and Fano goes into the 2025 season as like I say, one of three possible top 10 overall pick candidates. And the second one is Francis Magoya, right tackle, senior, Miami, 6'6", 315 pound. Doesn't rate as highly as on against either the pass or the run with Draft Buzz than Fano does. But he enters the 2025 season as one of the leading offensive line candidates and offensive tackle candidates, but may even be the best candidate across all positions. That's possible on the O-line. He's truly a physical phenom, possessing a combination of size, power and speed that's rarely seen in an NFL draft candidate. Yet, like as indicated by DraftBuzz ratings, there's areas he needs to improve on technically, but exposure to higher levels of opponent are only likely to draw out those improvements based on his progression so far. A work in progress, maybe more than being close to the finished article like Fano, but definitely there's a lot to look at there. Third one of these big three that I'm going to referring to is Caden Proctor. He's a left tackle junior at Alabama, 6'7" and 369 pound, make him an absolute mammoth tackle. But Fano and Margoya, he's going to challenge them. They won't have a clear path to being the top tackle in the 26th draft. Proctor is going to be a huge threat to them in that guard. Literally a 5-star recruit by Alabama. He went through some rapid learning in his freshman season, but was superb in his sophomore season and looks set for another strong season in 2025. Many an NFL quarterback would love to have this behemoth of a man protecting their blind side. So look out for Caden Proctor, another exceptional talent in this offensive tackle class. Two more potential round one guys, but later in round one, maybe mid to late. Kolev Lonu, left tackle. He's only a sophomore at Utah, so another Utah offensive tackle. 6'6", 304 pounds. He moved to right tackle in 2024, which allowed Fano to take over at left tackle. He is another potentially top-notch tackle and is a year behind Fano in his development, but he is already technically adept, so it may be physical development we see from him in 2025. He could choose to delay entering the draft until beyond 2026, but enters the 2025 season as another potential top half of round one candidate. He's probably mid-round one at this stage, should he enter the draft. And the final round one guy I've got is Isaiah Weld. Can play either tackle position. He's a senior at Oregon, 6'8" and 312 pounds. Weld started his college career with Nevada at right tackle, then moved to left tackle before transferring to Oregon, where he responded to the step up in levels admirably. His wingspan as a 6'8" tackle make him an awesome pass protector, but he's not as good at this stage as a run blocker and has been penalty prone too. Those are things he needs to address, and which if he doesn't address them, could cost him a first round pick. So they're the five I've got in round one. Round two starts with Austin Barber, a left tackle, senior, Florida, 6'6", 315 pounds. Is yet another experienced blindside tackle, but needs to improve his pad levels and anchor if he is to push his way ahead of similar types in this draft class. Then we get Caleb Tiernan, play either tackle, junior, Northwestern, 6'7", 329 pounds, strong pass protector, can get too vertical, which hurts him as a run blocker, and against those who can get under his pad levels. He has the size and speed to develop further, but needs refinement if he is to climb up this draft class, which is a strong one, as I say. Next up, still in round two now, Blake Miller, another guy who can play either tackle position. Clemson senior, 6'6", 315 pounds. Miller was high on draft boards for 2025, but chose to stay in school for another year and will be a major part of one of the best O-lines in college football in 2025. Mainly a right tackle, but he has played some left tackle when required. While he is not quite as good as some of the elite talent in his class, Miller is a highly durable and reliable tackle who will be NFL ready for sure come the 2026 draft. Right, two more in round two, but a bit of coffee first. Trevor Gooseby is up next. Another guy who's played both tackle positions, a junior at Texas, similar size to the others, 6'7" and 312 pounds. Has a real opportunity to step up in his first season as a starter for the Longhorns in 2025, but he showed up really well as a spot starter behind highly drafted prospects, but now has to do it for himself on a full-time basis. But the opportunity is there for him to really shine this year. It's a potential riser up draft boards, as is the final one I've got in round two at the moment, but that may not be their ceiling. And this is Xavier Chaplin, left tackle, junior Auburn, 6'7", 348 pounds, an absolute man mountain, but does have speed and agility too. Potentially a dominant pass blocker at the next level, another fine prospect ahead of the 2026 draft. And like I say, him and Gooseby, maybe there's more improvement in them than some of the guys immediately above them in this draft class. So they could be risers. Right, round three, just a couple here. Jennings Dunker, right tackle, senior, Iowa, 6'5" and 291 pounds. Dunker does all he can to make up for a comparative lack of size in ferocity and technique. He has shown himself to be an exceptional run blocker in the Iowa offensive scheme. It is just that lack of size that could harm day two prospects in the 2026 draft. And the final one I got here is Armil Wagner, a right tackle, junior, Notre Dame, 6'6" and 290 pounds. So again, weight-wise, a little on the small side. But he's one of the better run blockers in this strong class. But he's not bad in pass protection either. As I say, being sub 300 pound may worry NFL scouts and front offices. So if you could bulk up a bit before the 2026 draft, he could at least get into round three. So that's the O-line class looked at. Next, I'll flip it over and we'll go to the D side. Not the dark side, the D side. So there you go. I'm trying to think now how many offensive players I've given you. Well, that's 12. What's that? 12, 16, 19 O-linemen. I think I gave you a dozen quarterbacks. So that's 31. There was a few. There wasn't many running backs I went through. Even less tight ends. There's probably about 50, 60 players I've given you on the O-line side, offensive side. There is potential day one and day two candidates. So let's see how many get into that sort of status from the defensive side to make up my initial sort of top 100, top 125 on my overall big board. All right, so back with the D linemen next, and it'll be defensive tackles that I'll look at. See you soon.